weird talking to yourself? Are you talking to yourself or?
No, I will. Yeah, now I'm talking to myself. Right one.
You there? I can see you. Do you hear me?
Oh, you got sound? I can't hear you there.
I can hear you.
Hello, hello.
No sound?
You hear me there, Steve?
Yeah.
Can hear you. I can't hear you there.
How's that?
One
Anything?
second.
No.
1 second. I think that's my fault. How about now?
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. That was my fault on my end. All right.
I'm all nervous. I'm not a tech guy, dude. I was getting nervous. I was like, "Oh man, my wife ain't here." Fucked.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you coming on here today and doing this with me.
No worries, man. So what's the plan?
I just your grow is definitely the ground zero for the living soil stuff. And I just kind of want to go about however, how we kind of got there and why we did that. And now, you're definitely doing your own kind of thing in your own style. And I think there's a lot of people very interested in you and what you're doing and the path that your style moves forward. So that's what I'm most concerned about right now is Steve's style. So,
All right, cool.
Yeah. So this is good. Oh, go ahead.
No, so I mean, are we going right now, or or is this it, or what?
If you're ready, yeah.
Yeah.
I like to just keep it casual, so it's perfect that you're rolling a joint there and we're just chatting and all that good stuff.
Cool.
Sound good?
Yeah. So lead the way, bro.
Cool. All right. Well, this is going to be episode 6. So this is Tyler with the Grassroots Living Soil podcast. We got episode 6. We have Steve Cantwell. Steve Cantwell is kind of the ground zero for the Grassroots Living Soil beds and was the first commercial facility to order those. So wanted to take a moment to bring Steve on here and talk about why we got there, how we got there, and a little bit of Steve's career, because it's pretty amazing. So yeah, we're here to chat living soil with Steve Cantwell, and I'm very excited. This has been a long time coming, definitely.
Well, thanks for having me, bro, and thanks for all you guys' hard work and helping us along the way all these years. Definitely thankful to have you as a your support and a partner in this. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely, and you've made it very easy, and you're an easy grower to deal with. These situations are pretty simple, and you keep them simple, we keep them simple, and just trying to do the best quality we can. And we're just so glad that we can satisfy somebody's needs beyond just a normal fabric pot, because that was kind of getting boring, to be honest with you. So
yeah, no, you guys
are
cutting edge, man. You guys are pushing the envelope like I try to push the envelope. So I'm thankful to have you guys, man. You guys take on any challenge I throw at you with record time and always come out on top. So I'm thankful for that.
What are you rolling up there, man?
I got some Tango. It's a kind of like a Los Fino thing. It's special to me, no one else. But yeah, it's just actually my first time smoking it, so we'll see how it goes.
Nice. That's exciting.
It was one of those plants where when it was time to take clones, we took clones. I took clones, and then she kind of didn't look good for a while, so we kind of just got rid of those clones. And then, like the last 2 weeks of flower, she just surprised everybody. And it was like one of those, damn it, I should have known better than to cut those clones. Kind of.
Oh man, yeah, that's an interesting name, Tango. There.
Yeah, it was by what's his name, Michael Owens. Passed away, I think, about a year or so ago.
Yep. Wow. Awesome, man. So yeah, let's kind of get into ground zero with the LS beds, the living soil beds. I'm just so used to calling them the LS beds here in the office, how we categorize them. But yeah, man, you brought us in there and you said, hey, we need this done on the inside of these beds, and we pumped that out to you, and it was awesome. And do you want to talk about kind of? I know you went over this on Haas Church a while and went into very in deep with that. So I don't want to go into all those exact details, but why you felt it was necessary to get there.
Well, I mean, like I've said before, everything I do, I try to kind of look to nature and model after nature. And there's a lot of really good concepts with the fabric pots as far as the air pruning the roots and whatnot. But then at the same time, when you're trying to run a living soil system, you don't typically in nature, you don't see your soil evaporating from all sides, from top, bottom, left, right. So we just seen some inconsistencies. A bubble was forming at the bottom of the bed. I couldn't sink moisture fast enough. It was drying faster than I could sink it in my soil. So yeah, we had some ideas. We finally came to the conclusion that wrapping them with saran wrap to try to slow the evaporation from the sides down would be a good test run. We did it. We had amazing results in some areas that we didn't even see coming, as far as not only did we reduce our watering, but we actually were able to drop the RH in the room a little bit, which was a big thing for an indoor grower. Dropping relative humidity can cost thousands of dollars. So to be able to do that with a roll of saran wrap was pretty awesome.
Pretty trick right there. And that's how I tell people. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's how we always go into that, as in like, hey man, like if you don't believe me, just go wrap one of your pots in saran wrap and sit there and watch it for 24 hours.
Yeah. But then you guys came out for that. I think it was the MJ BizCon, and I walked you guys into a room with wrapped beds. And I was like, well, secret's out. Let's talk about it. So this is what I kind of found. And I showed you guys, explained to you guys the problems I was having. And then, and yeah, we started broing out on some bed ideas. And then, yeah, we made that first initial order. Still waiting to make more orders. Just growth is slow with COVID, but looking forward to 3.0 in it with you.
Yeah, definitely. With your whole greenhouse facility you're going putting up there.
Yeah, I mean we're slowly going there. I'm not really in a hurry to finance a bunch of debt right now. We're doing good, so but we'll get there eventually, dude. Not rushing it, but yeah, when that day comes, the only difference I'll make, I just want fireproof beds. It's expensive, but I want to be able to light them on fire when I need to.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing we thought about was a 20-foot section of fireproof fabric that you would lay down to allow you to treat a large section or a large area, and then move it down and treat another section. But we'll figure out what we got to do when we get there and how we can incorporate it. So
yeah, it comes. I know you guys will be able to tackle it really well, but we're ways out, so we got time. But as far as that goes, man, yeah, by wrapping those beds, and then the ones you guys designed for us, it tremendously helped out indoors. We still get the advantage of the root pruning where it's needed. We get the lots of breathable areas in the pots as well. So it's just an all around good concept. It's a good idea to run. I'm really glad to see people incorporating it in their gardens. I think they're going to find a lot more success early on. Skip a lot of the trial and error that we had the first several years trying to develop a consistent watering schedule around that flaw was definitely challenging. So I think people are off on a better foot nowadays with this product.
Good. And that's awesome. And that was kind of our goal with coming out with that living soil pot and getting it out there to the masses, because when somebody comes to us with such amazing results and all these improvements, we're just like, man, we feel like we want to do the best and bring that out to the community.
I think that's what really differentiates a good company from a dying company too. Is you guys are willing to make those changes. You're willing to evolve with this industry. And I'm sure that first couple beds, they were challenging to make. You guys probably have you're like a when you go to a taco shop, you ask for a taco, they make that taco 1,000 times. It's easy for them, but you ask them to not throw sour cream on it, they're probably going to mess your order up because they've already made that taco a million times. But you guys handled it well, man. You guys didn't mess up anything. You guys always come through like champions. So yeah, I have 100% faith in your company. Stoked about it.
Awesome. You got a beautiful background you got going on there. Is that your new place that you got?
Yeah, it's our house. We got a little homestead here. Moved back to Crump a while back. It's where GOP is located, out Nevada, outside of Las Vegas. But yeah, I got a little 5-acre property that we're gonna try to do like a off-grid homestead eventually. Should be cool.
Nice, plenty of room for the dogs.
Yeah, about 5 acres.
Beautiful. So you got some pretty interesting stuff you're doing now. Some new concepts you're throwing forward. You want to talk about any of those things?
Yeah. So the new one I threw at you were those bottomless pots. I haven't shown anybody on the IG yet because we're about to transplant into them. Not next week, but the following week, we're about to finally start using them.
But you've proven the concept, obviously, with other containers and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So we took, and there's actually something people are following us. I see people making the same mistake, and it's going to lead them down a slightly bad week of stress. People are cutting the bottom of their pots off after they planted into them. You're going to cut your roots a little bit. You are still going to see stress if you do it that way. You're not going to mess up. It'll still be worth it in the next run. You are going to see a little bit of stress. I cut that on some seed plants. I cut the bottoms off after they're planted, and I didn't mitigate the stress of planting by doing that. The idea is to cut the bottom of the pots off, the plastic pots off first, then fill them with soil, then plant into them. That's how you want to do it to completely mitigate any transplant stress. So that's basically what we did. We took our old pots, we cut the bottoms off, filled them up with soil, we planted directly into them, and we just set them on our beds in place. And by doing that, we didn't have to dig holes, move soil, refill pots. We really cut out a lot of labor. And at the same time, not only did we cut out labor, but we also cut out plant stress by setting these plants on the beds. We reduced transplant shock, and we just watched the plants just grow into the beds and continue to grow without ever really showing any stress. So the beds that we did one bed every room, and of a strain that we were pretty heavy in, and that bed every single time outcompeted all the strains or all the beds that we planted our old style. So it definitely works. This will be our first time trying it with the fabric pot style. I don't see it being any different for the worse off, anyways. So it'll look really clean. It's gonna be, again, it's the way to go if you're running living soil beds. Again, we're still kind of early to doing it, so I might feel different in a year. But for the most part, right now, everything we're seeing, this is definitely the move to make. It's labor is money, man, and by cutting it down, we're definitely
whole
saving.
day, right? Maybe just, not having to dig all those holes.
Really, yeah, a full day of just hard back-breaking work, man. Actually, more like 2 days. Then you got to clean up the mess too. So it's definitely save some time, and you got to refill the pots. By doing this, now when it's time, we just pull the pot up. We're not even refilling it; we're just topping it off. So yeah, we'll see how long we can do that before having to dump it out and re-amend it. Eventually, we might have to dump the pots out, add something to it, aerate it a little bit, and then fill them back up. But we're gonna see how long we can even go without dumping the pots out. That's the next thing, the next phase of this new style that we're in. How far will those pots go before they're bone dry without nutrients?
Yeah. And getting down to those compounding factors too, of like how much that saves you over having to be able to go, maybe 3-4 runs before having to do that. That's awesome, man. You got to be pretty stoked about these innovations.
Yeah, it's getting good. I just got to hurry up and build a greenhouse so my people don't run out of work.
Man.
All these changes, and then now my girls are walking around with nothing to do. So we definitely got to expand and keep them busy for sure.
Which is part of the hash processing you're doing. I know that doesn't take much labor or anything like that, but I'm sure that's cool to add that on.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation for us. the state's kind of given us a little bit of time to play with it. They allowed us to do it a year ago. They gave us permission to do it. Then, without really telling us, they kind of took it away. And then we started doing it, and then they told us we couldn't do it. We're like, what do you mean? We have all these letters of you saying that we can do it. So then they gave us the ability to do it for about a year. And in that year, they're supposed to help us get a production license or lockdown production license. We have to make an effort to get a production license in some way. And then we'll see what happens in a year. So for right now, we're going to make as much hash as we can in a year and see where that goes.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you're probably getting a big demand for that all of a sudden. People are like, I love the flower. You know, I know the bud tenders at the places were buying it before it could even hit the shelves for some of the people. So I'm sure it's the same with the hash.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been our first week. Sales went good so far. We'll see if they reorder next week, if they sell out. That's gonna be the true test. But yeah, we've been getting a lot of hype. I kind of, unfortunately, I started hyping it too soon because we started hyping it back in December. I look at it kind of like as like a fight. You gotta sell a fight. You gotta be that Dana White. You gotta be able to hype a fight. You can't hype a fight too soon. You can't hype it too late. You gotta get people ready and pumped up right at the right time. So I started doing that like late December. And then the state kind of pumped the brakes on us. So then now I'm kind of like trying to rehype this fight that was already supposed to take place last December in my mind. So I'm kind of being cautious. But now that we dropped it, it's dropping this week. I'm going to start pumping out a lot of content, showing people what we're doing. But yeah, people are stoked. I hope they really enjoy it. We're doing everything we can to make sure that we're putting out the best solventless hash you can. You know, it's organic, living soil indoors, so it's really clean. We're washing it good. We're doing full spectrum. We're doing all the good wook techniques. We're going as far as we're delivering it in coolers, on ice packs. So dispensaries should be able to get it in their freezers in a reasonable amount of time without it buttering up or turning to shit. Not that it would, but we're just going above and beyond everything we can just to make sure. We know the dispensary is going to charge a lot of money for it. That's completely out of our hand.
Yeah.
So just what we can do to make sure that people are getting the best possible product, you know?
That's awesome. Yeah, well, that's what the other person on the other end that wants to hear when they're spending all that money for that high end product, that it's going to be gone through that much care too, because I'm sure there's people that like all those different wide ranges of consistencies too. So if it didn't come to them perfect like that, you know, there's some people that love that, you know, chalkiness or that kind of thing, you know?
Honestly, I mean, a lot of people are really big deal. Every little detail, if they can find a way to nitpick something, they will, you know?
Yeah, that's probably why they're popular.
Product. Your nitpickers are really they're pretty harsh sometimes. So we're trying to do the best we can, man, to keep everybody happy. I won't be doing any full melt bubble hash anytime soon, just because again I'm not really looking to get nitpicked, and the microbial testing is a little more challenging on that. But for right now, we're gonna be dropping some fresh press rosin. Eventually, we'll try to do some cure techniques, some cold cure, maybe some jar tech, and some things like that. But right now, just trying to keep it simple. Just trying to get a nice little rhythm going, and then from there, we'll expand.
Beautiful, awesome, man. Do you want to talk about kind of the Steve style of like? I'm interested, like, what's your process when you're redoing your beds and like re-amending and stuff? Because it seems like you don't till anything. So when you amend, are you amending like soluble products and watering them in?
No, I try to use dry amendments as much as possible. I look at my beds as worm farms. I took the early Elaine's course and her segment on worm farming. One of the things that she had recommended is not to feed your worms more than they can eat in 3 days. If you feed your worms more than they can eat in 3 days, larvae and pests will lay their eggs in that food source, and they'll have enough time to hatch to get to the next stage, life stage. But if you only feed your worms what they can eat in 3 days, anything that tries to lay eggs will have to pass through the digestive system of the worm, and it won't make it through. So I try to use that concept because I don't like fungus nests. I don't like pests in general, obviously. So we try to go on the light side of top dressing dry amendments. And again, we just monitor the soil. We top dress once a week in veg. We try to get everything we need to into the soil once a week. for 4 weeks. So I top dress basically for 4 weeks, it going into flower. But as soon as the flowers show up, you kind of got to stop because the dry amendments are dusty. You don't want shit getting in your weed, you know? So yeah, I just do a light top dressing and I water it in based off of soil reports. One thing that recently snuck by or got by us is that we upgraded our lights. I got some friggin' gnarly faux A3Is in my facility now. These 1500 watt LEDs that are just insane. Favorite light I've ever worked with by far. But we threw these lights up, and I've been running the same system for about 4 years and some change under the same LEDs. And out of nowhere, we doubled their yields. We're like, oh man, this is like the best problem we've ever had. Then we overfilled the dry room. Well, no, let me back up. We doubled our yields. Our humidity went up. So then we had to redesign our dehumidifiers, add some more dehumidification because now we're growing twice the plant. Then we harvest the room, and then we overfill a dry room, collapse the dry room. So then we had to build a whole second dry room to handle the weight. Meanwhile, while putting all those fires out, I wasn't really paying attention to the soil, and I didn't realize, man, you doubled your yields. You're pulling twice as much out of the soil.
Oh, man.
So a couple of years ago, I went full biological, man. I go light on my dry amendments. My soil tests always come back slightly hot, if anything. So I've always gone light on my top dressing, and then and just gotten heavy on the biological. I do brew a lot of really good teas. I use a lot of good in-house compost. I've gotten really far doing that. But man, I'm telling you what, when you start pulling some serious weight, you got to look at both the biology and those soil tests because the biology can't always keep up, I found out. And I started this last cycle started fading on me a little bit harder. I'd never see it fade early in my plants. So it caught us off guard, and I had to take some classes and learn. I took a soil doctor's course. He put that course right at the perfect time for me. So it was awesome. Took his course about, I don't know, halfway through it right now. But it's really been enlightening to look at both sides of the spectrum now. I got to look at both the biological side and the agronomy side of it because, you know,
they affect each other.
They usually don't jive. You know, one usually says the other don't matter. But I'm finding out, man, if you want to run this thing as fast as it can go, you really need to keep them both in check. So that's kind of where we're at this last time. And above that, so what that led me to is I just basically had to up my top dressing a little bit. Just had to get a little bit more nutrients into the soil, feed the soil a little bit more ultimately. But I try to stay away from soluble anything as much as I can. Obviously, some things are soluble. You're not going to find too many forms of potassium that aren't soluble. You're not going to find calcium that's not really soluble. So there's most stuff you're going to put in your soil when you do run out is going to be a soluble form. You have to water in a sun level.
And why don't you like solubles?
I just don't like salts as much, you know. I try not to put too many salty shit in my soil. Usually everything's like a sulfate or whatever.
Yeah,
I just don't like adding. And not only that, but my thing is at the end of the day, like when I use dry amendments, like typically it's like an alfalfa or like a rock dust or a crustacean meal or a kelp. I feel like worst case scenario, I can get those things myself. I don't know where to get potassium silicate. I don't know where to get potassium sulfate. I don't know how to create some of these calcium. I can't mine gypsum. So some of those things make me nervous. Like if I ever had to close my gate and just go full off grid, I wouldn't be able to recreate some of those elements. And I just don't like relying on things that I can't, worst case scenario, take care of myself. So that's kind of my personal little beef with them. But other than that, that's it.
No, that's a huge eye opener for me, man. If you close your gate and have to be self-sufficient, how are you going to do it? And can you do it? And you're already 5 years, 10 years ahead of it.
Yeah, I got to look at the potassium cycle. Where do I get potassium naturally? That's the main one I'm having a problem with right now. So I know we got biochar is the one I've been leaning on the heaviest right now. But yeah, if someone out there knows the answer to that, let me know how I can grow some potassium.
Yeah. Or even focus in on what biology sources the most potassium, you know, and really going towards those populations of biology, you know, what I guess would be the other side of it too.
Yeah, that could also work.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So in a certain sense, like you're stacking these new pots on top of the beds and it's not causing you to disturb the soil. And then the plants still just blasting super deep into that thing. Like, what does it look like when you harvest that and then you're peeling that thing off the top? Like, is it like Velcro coming out of a thing? Like, can you explain that experience for me?
Yeah, so the first time we weren't really sure how we were going to run it. So like I grew a cycle, and I had just like the one pot or the single plant pot on the soil, and we thought we were just going to cut off the bottom of the pot, pull it, and just replace it with a new pot. So that's kind of like where I thought it was going. But no, that pot was anchored, man. And it was a lot of work cutting it. We lost a lot of soil. It kind of killed the idea. So what we did is, versus trying to pull that initial pot up that was just recently harvested, we just did similar to my other style. We just planted right next to it. So we just had the new pot right next to it. And then we went back to that old pot like 2 or 3 weeks later. I mean, they're still sitting there, but just to check it 2 or 3 weeks later. And it was loose, come right off. You can lift it right up, it's full of soil. Yeah, it was super easy. So here, what is it, 2 weeks, I think it is. Oh no, I'm sorry. We're planting them in 2 weeks, but the room gets planted in about 6 weeks. Here in 6 weeks, I'm about to do it on scale. We're going to pull these up. We're actually going to plant a whole room with the pots. But yeah, that is the concept, is just to set them on the bed, to leave your main body of soil as undisturbed as possible, and just let the plants do their thing.
And what is your time frame from harvest to reset?
I have a day.
A day.
I harvest typically on a Tuesday. We break the room down on a Wednesday, and we're usually, when I say break a room down, we do a top to bottom clean. I clean every light, we clean every wall, we blow our electrical stuff. We do a really thorough cleaning job. So yeah, we clean Wednesday and then replant Thursday. So I have 1 day downtime.
Wow, that is very fast. And so
Yeah.
you're doing your soil samples, a couple weeks before harvest.
I don't really, in the past, I never had a reason to test my soil all that much. I would test it really like once a year. Then I would kind of tailor my, maybe a little more than once a year, but I would tailor my top dressing to what I was seeing trending. So what I see the trends were, hey, we're starting to get a little bit low this, so we need to, back and high this, we need to back off that and incorporate this a little bit more. That worked really well for a long time, again, until we increased our lights. Now I just got to increase my feeding. But yeah, soil testing, now I'll probably do it a little more recent, or a little more continually, just to get a new pattern going, to see the new trends under these new lights. But once those patterns kind of establish, once I run it for a year or two, you kind of get an idea of what you're pulling out and what you need to put back in, and you can really start to test less and less, and have a better idea what's going on.
I've kind of like tried to hint to that, but I've never really been down that path myself, because I only get to grow once a year compared to you. You're just turning over. And I've hinted in the past, like, there's got to get to a point where we don't have to test that much and we can get to those patterns and get to those kind of things. So that's so encouraging for you to say. And I just going into a season of encouraging people to soil test, especially because there's so many cannabis growers out there that have never looked at the biology or their soil on a chemical level, and the increases you can get, or the just efficiencies you can get is out of the world. For me, it's been insane. I've had people say, Tyler, you're an amazing grower, and I'm like, well, thank God for them soil testing places, because I don't think it would have been as easy. Definitely.
Yeah, no, it definitely helps. Data is good. I mean, too much data can complicate things, and get expensive, and really just muddy the water. But yeah, early on, you could really, really rely on the data, really rely on the testing. But like I said, you're going to see trends form. You're growing the same crop time after time. You're going to get an idea. If you're paying attention, you're going to see the pattern. You're going to have a really good idea of what to put back in.
What's an update you can give us of other stuff that's growing inside your grow rooms besides cannabis that you have there? I know I've been in there and seen strawberries. I've seen some lettuce growing. I've seen all kinds of cool stuff. Where's that headed right now?
I'm slacking on my companion plants a little bit, actually. We just ordered a bunch of new seed. I'm going to go back on it and start really going heavy at that again. But no, just for the most part, yeah, I like my banker plants. So pepper plants are always welcome in my space. My favorite cover crops, I've said before, are chickweed and dichondra. Chickweed has a really nice, airy fluffiness to it. Creates a really good environment. Dichondra is just a really good ground cover. It's slightly invasive, but it's a good thing when you're growing how we use it.
I just had to stop eating clover myself because it was taking over in my beds. I mean, like roots like this shooting 3 feet in every direction. Like it just drove me nuts.
And you're in a greenhouse, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really hard. Indoors, I can control things a little bit better. I can shut a bank of lights off after I harvest a strain, give it a couple of days of dark, usually slows it down. But outdoors, I mean, maybe try covering it. Worst case with some cardboard.
That's a great
but
idea.
Yeah, the clover is definitely we had too many problems with it. I mean, I might play with it again in the future if nitrogen becomes a problem that I can't keep up with. Maybe I'll find a way to use it. But to have it running rampant through your beds can get a little hectic at times. It just hosts too many pests. It's everything likes to eat clover. It's high nitrogen. They love it. So it's just always going to be that lingering problem. At least indoors for me, it was. And the pests we have out here, it created that problem for me. I can't speak for everybody. I haven't grown everywhere in every situation. But yeah, for us, it was definitely not worth the squeeze.
Are you growing any plants as nutrients for your system at all?
I mean, everything goes back into the system, but not specifically. Not really, no.
Okay, like aloe vera or anything like that.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, we do grow aloe vera. Yeah, I guess you're right. That is salicylic acid we use for cloning and all the saplings and all that good stuff. So yeah, we do grow aloe. We grow all our own aloe. We do buy a little bit of aloe from Build the Soil from time to time. That I'll use for more of a foliar if I'm ever doing like a foliar application. Just because like the fresh aloe will tend to leave like a little gummier flakes kind of get on the plants. It just looks a little weird sometimes. But other than that, yeah, we try to grow all our as much aloe as we can. Other than that, just random plants. I really see what wants to grow in our garden. We get a lot of volunteers. I've had tomatoes pop up. We've had random flower plants pop up, mushrooms galore pop up. And usually if something grows good in our system and in our time frame, it'll keep growing. I won't have to replant chickweed. I don't have to replant dichondra. I mean, sometimes we'll kind of, we have a bare spot compared to the rest of the beds. We might throw some seed down. But for the most part, once we go in our facility, it grows in our facility. And so far, those are the plants you see.
And everything that you're doing, you can probably produce your own, obviously, mulch to mulch the top of your beds.
Yeah, I mean, mulch for us, we put as much of our cannabis back into the system as possible. So like example, in the summertime, we'll collect most of our stem and stuff it dry. We won't compost in the summertime just because of the flies. It's just not worth it. So we'll just we collect during the summer months, everything dry, and then winter we compost. We try to flip as many piles as we can while it's cold, while there's not things flying around, and anything that we can't fit into our composting process is gonna go directly back on the beds and mulched. Sometimes we might pull it out, dry it, then put it back on, add to our mulch layer. But for the most part, our mulch layer is very very healthy as far as I have brown, green, rock. We have a really good mulch layer forming, and what we actually began to see in our soil is different horizons form now. We have like a good 6 to 8 inch, I would say about 6 inches of just pure castings and just what we top dressed over the years that you have to really scratch to even get to our original soil mix before you start seeing the original pumice and lava and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
So am I ever going to sell you new beds for that room, or are those things just going to keep rocking for the next 50,000 years and pass it on to all your beautiful children?
So no, what I've been doing is I actually got talking about Ryan too. But no, what I've been doing is we have a plan. The beds are given out before the soil. In fact, everything in that room has been changed out except for the soil at this point. Fans, except for the soil and our AC units, DUs, fans, everything's been upgraded. But what we end up doing is I want to make it to 100 cycles. That's my goal. I think I kind of said it before. I kind of spoke into existence, and I kind of got to see it through. At least do my best to. What I'm gonna end up doing is locking them in place. Once we know the facilities, it's pretty much designed how we want it to be now. I don't have any surprises coming up. We're gonna lock the wheels in place. keep them on wheels. I'm gonna basically skirt them to where they're to the ground, nothing, no water, moisture can get underneath the beds, because cleaning underneath beds suck. And then I'm gonna weld, because we made our old frames, and we're basically just gonna weld some metal posts on them. It's kind of hard to explain without showing like on a piece of paper, but we're just gonna push them all together, weld some things on them, and just rewrap them. I'm gonna have you guys make me a wrap, and we're just gonna rewrap it like a freaking gordita, and cut out the old beds without having to move any soil. So that's kind of the plan going forward.
Oh, I got it. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
So, and that way we can, again, still keep counting our cycles, still make it to 100 cycle no-till. It'll just be rewrapped beds, basically.
Yeah. Just cut the bottom where the fabric is at the bottom, pull the sides up, and we have the other sides already sitting there. You put the other sides in place and then just remove the other ones. And then you're maybe going to mess up a couple inches of soil on the sides.
Yep. And then it was just let it all fill in, top dress some compost on it, let it close the gaps, and keep rocking, dude. So that's kind of my plan when the time comes. We're gonna have to strategically do it. We won't be able to do it all at once. So one cycle, when we had that day downtime, I extended to a 2 or 3 day downtime, and we might weld some posts on. Then the next cycle we'll push them all together, and every cycle we'll probably get one step closer to rewrapping them, basically, without having, because again, downtime, I can't afford downtime. It costs as much to run my building when it's cropping out as it does when it's not cropping out. So we always got to be cropping out.
So you're going to end up adding to the length of those rows then, since they don't have aren't going to have as much gaps in between them and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I've already pushed them together the new way we run the room, and I have one wide center aisle now. And what I'll usually do is I'll roll like some tester plants in there, or some potted plants in that one wide aisle, and we'll use that as our our open free space.
Nice. Awesome. What are some advancements you can see coming into the cannabis industry in the next couple of years, or something you can wish into existence that we need?
Oh man, that's a good question.
I've been thinking about this one for a while.
Yeah, I wish you gave me a heads up on that one.
I like to do things on the tip of the toes, man, because that's whatever comes to your mind is what we should be talking about.
I know where the industry's going. It's not to say where I want it to go, but obviously I think AI is a real thing. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the hydro guys, and we plug into that pretty hardcore. I know some other things where I know I'm going to introduce some things to it, but I can't say yet, because I promised the company I'm working with I wouldn't say nothing yet. I mean, obviously, the trends are kind of already set. It's kind of going that direction. I feel like everybody's, for the most part, we're starting to see more of a living soil rise. LEDs are taking over. Even Gavita dropping their LED now. So I think everybody's kind of going the right direction for the most part. I don't know. That's a good question. That's some more thought.
Good. Are you still training, man? You still rolling, doing jiu-jitsu and stuff?
I haven't been doing jiu-jitsu, unfortunately. I mean, I do from time to time. Like if my buddy has fights, usually I'll go do some shark drills, and I'll be one of the sparring partners. But for the most part, it's been kickboxing. I kickbox twice a week. My coach 1K holds pads for me. Go down to 1K's gym, bang on some pads, let the energy, that anger out. Yeah, it's something I enjoy. I'm a martial artist, so it's just like I smoke cannabis. I gotta train. It's just one more way I gotta work out my brain, I guess.
Can you bring me like bring me through like a 30-second snapshot of like your day, of like, what incorporates you getting through your day from, as in like routine wise, like what makes you successful out of that routine is really what I'm interested in knowing.
Yeah, no, I'm very routine oriented. I'll make the wrong turn just because it's part of my routine. If something changes, so routine, I think, is very key. Having your day kind of planned out and mapped out, that way you don't have to think about it. It is definitely key to success. But for the most part, I wake up as early as I can. I have a son now, so I get morning shift. My wife puts him to bed. I wake him up. So I'm usually the last one out of the house. yeah, I have a cup of coffee in the morning. I wake up, I make some phone calls. I go to my grow, I check on my grow, I get my team outlined. Then I'll go train for a couple hours. Then I'll head home, check on my team. Right now I got a guy who works at night who does hash. So I'll get done training. I'll go check on my hash guy. And then, yeah, I'll hit the house, and I got 5 acres that I have something to do on every single day. So I never have a single spare minute to just chill. So, yeah, that's pretty much where it's at. Just stay busy, man.
Nice. That's great. So we saw you get into deep water diving and stuff like that. Do you have any other new passions that are just came out of nowhere that you saw that you're just diving into?
No, I mean, free diving and spearfishing is definitely anytime I get a vacation or I get, a weekend to do what I want to do, that's what I'm doing. Actually leaving this Friday to go to Hawaii for the first time. Was supposed to do some spearfishing, but unfortunately the island I'm going doesn't have any charters. So I'm kind of bummed out. I'm like working out like a madman trying to get in shape just to take down a big fish. And I guess I'll just be tanning on the beach now. So that sucks. But I enjoy spearfishing, man. Free diving. I recently got a Can-Am, but I'm not really into that. I'll be honest. I just don't know what to do. I go out in the desert and I drive the damn thing around. There's no fish or anything to go look for. So I just kind of end up wandering around. But I live in the desert, so we got one of those. But other than that, no, man. I just smoke, train, shoot fish.
Nice. That's awesome, man. Sounds like a great life, and you're definitely enjoying it, and that's awesome.
I make the most of it, man. It definitely has ups and downs. Got to enjoy the good while it's here.
And now that's what I forgot about. Do you have any tips for people in building a foliar spray or putting one together, formulating one and being successful with that? Because I think there's more to that than people imagine.
I mean, really, what foliars are tricky. It's something I probably need some help with overall. But what I could offer more is just lessons I learned what not to do.
Yeah.
Definitely go on the light side. Careful with oils. Anytime you spray oil of any kind, make sure you're turning your lights off or dimming them. And then if you're using any soaps as like a surfactant or just for whatever to stick, make sure that you wash them off and you dim the lights when you wash them off because it's going to reactivate it. You could burn your plants all over again. So like you can spray, say with like a Dr. Bronner's, you spray some whatever, Dr. Bronner's or something on your plants. You think you're good. You come in the next day and you wash your plants off with you rain on them, whatever. Well, with the lights on, you could really do some damage to your plants right now. So I would say just be careful what you're spraying on them. Try not to. My thing is I try not to spray at all. Like I try to spray as little as possible. And then when I do spray, it's primarily, either water, aloe, or compost tea. I try not to spray oils on my plants. I'm not big on that no more. But I mean, if you have certain issues, you gotta do what you gotta do. I get it. But for the most part, if you don't have any issues, if you're not seeing a pest problem, if you're not seeing any deficiencies that you need Epsom salt, foliar, or anything like that, then don't spray. I mean, just wash your plants off from time to time. Keep the stomata clean and open so the plants can breathe. Obviously, aloe is always a good safe foliar. I've never gone too heavy with it. I've never really seen anything negative from spraying aloe whatsoever. So that's kind of just a safe one. Does a lot of really good. But yeah, I would just say just don't spray your plants as much as you can is what I recommend. Yeah.
Awesome. What about spraying equipment? Anything in my mind, I almost like keeping it as simple as possible. Like just simple, the better. What do you feel?
So like you're saying equipment to use?
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad that's a good question because there's this silly little machine that I love called a Rainmaker. It's a little 5-gallon plastic, super cheap sprayer. You can get them like house or online. But dude, they rock, man. Like you plug them in, you charge them. They have like a 1-year warranty. The only thing that ever really breaks on them is the switch, which you can hardwire, or the knob, which again you can hardwire. So worst case, if they break past the warranty, we just pop the switch off and just hardwire them. Twist the wires together.
Backpack sprayer, a battery powered backpack sprayer.
Yeah, they come with a little cart though. You don't want to be carrying 5 gallons in your back. That's just a little too much to be carrying. But they come with like a little cool little cart. But again, like it's like super cheap, like plastic. It's nothing like heavy duty. I wish they would make like a heavy duty version of this exact sprayer. But it's called a Rainmaker. It's my favorite little tool in the garden as far as adding compost teas or foliars in general. It's a good little tool. They're super
Beautiful. That's what we want too, is cheap and simple and works.
Yeah.
Are you still hand watering in there?
Currently, yes. I had plans of going to a semi-automated system, meaning that it's not gonna it won't be fully automated. We're still gonna be the best soil meter, in my opinion, is still this right here. So we'll still be monitoring the soil moisture and adding it accordingly to what we think is necessary versus just some random setting or like a Blue Mont system. I'm not into Blue Monts. But I know people who are. We can still be friends if you're into Blue Monts. But we'll be doing just basically a bubbler type system with some drippers, and just it'll all be turned on manually, off manually. So we'll still be turning on and off manually, but it won't be literally hand watering the beds.
Yeah, nice, awesome. That's encouraging, man. And I know at a certain point, you seem like you had aspirations to bring more to the market than just GLP. Is that still kind of an idea of yours to expand out more than just doing GLP for yourself? One thing is I see people say they turn to you for help in their facilities. You know, are you consulting for people or just helping people out on the side? Like, how does that work?
A lot of people ask me for help. I'm not really trying to consult. I got burned on a business deal one time. It get really bad taste in my mouth. I don't want to do business with anybody, man. I'll be honest, dude. You could be the nicest person in the world, but I'm just not really digging anybody right now. I got my 4 original business partners. They're great. I love them. Well, there's a couple small ones too that I love too. But anyways, I'm just not in a hurry to expand and to get into some drama. Usually people, when they want a consultant, they want somebody to deal with their problems, and I ain't about that. I got my own problems. I got my own solutions. I like helping people though. So like if I see somebody who I feel like is on the right foot, they have a good sense to them. Yeah, if I could point them in the right direction, help them out, get them on the right foot. Yeah, I'm always that guy. But yeah, I try not to consult, not to say that I won't. Like if there's a awesome project out there with a great team, yeah, my door is always open, but don't get offended if I don't walk through it. All right. I'm just not you. It's 100% me. I've been burned. I'm just not really looking to get burned ever again. So that's my only thing with consulting, man. I'm down to help. I'm not really trying to put my 100% into anything other than GLP right now.
I think that's probably the best possible answer anybody was hoping, because it's like, if you're doing the right thing and moving forward in the right direction, you got the right vibe and you don't need too much help. And it's just like, hey, what's the right decision? This is my problem. You'd probably love to put your 2 cents in and put them in the right direction.
Well, yeah, because people are going to be involved in the system with or without me. And I want to be on that page with them. If they find something out that works and I help them get there, I want to know. I want to, what works, what doesn't. So I don't want to cut myself off from the community in any way. I just know, I'm just careful who I let close to me. I'm careful who I share with to some degree. But yeah, again, man, like I always try to point people in the right direction. People call me all the time looking for soil. I know where to point them to depending on what they're looking for. People ask me for this, for that. I'm always pointing people to you guys. But I recommend companies that worked well for me. And I try to put people down, but I just tell people where to go, what to do, play devil's advocate with them, things like that. But as far as consulting goes, yeah, definitely not my thing.
Nice. I think I got one last question for you, because I'm just thinking about how much fun you're having on that 5 acres of property behind you there and all that good stuff. What's a big project you're gonna tackle first on there?
So I'm kind of hesitant, man, because if you grow a lot of food, you gotta be able to do something with it. My thing is I do want to be able to grow some food, but I just don't have the time right now, and I'm not really trying to compost an acre of food every year. So I'm really trying to take my time and find the time really is going to be the key thing. But once I find the time to do it, like right now, my main focus has been just planting trees. You can't plant trees soon enough. Should have planted them yesterday, kind of thing. So right now, my main focus is just working on my trees, getting my trees up and going, and just maintaining the property. Really, 5 acres by itself just to maintain is a lot of work before, let alone expanding or adding to. So right now, just maintaining, getting my trees back to the health, planting trees, as much trees as I can. But when the time comes, I have a section of the property. Well, actually, it's right behind me, right behind the pool right there. It's about an acre. It was a horse corral. This used to be a mini horse farm, apparently. They have an old horse corral back there. It's perfect for throwing some rows and growing some food. I have a 7,000 square foot barn. I'm not sure what the hell I'm going to do with that. I got a pole barn that's like 7,000 square foot. Again, I'm down to get some animals, but I ain't trying to get that many animals. So we'll see, man. I have plenty of room to grow into. Don't really 100% know where it's gonna go, but we'll see. It'll be cool.
Awesome. That's cool, man. I hope you have a lot of fun there. And if you ever need any grassroots beds for growing food, and I know you're probably going to give away food or do something like that, we'll definitely be shipping you some stuff, man. Always. So
yeah, you're definitely my as far as that goes. We gotta get you. You gotta get your whole team out here, dude.
yeah,
It's been a while.
definitely.
Well, there ain't no events this year to come out too, I guess. So hopefully this COVID thing get behind us.
Yeah, it needs to get behind us pretty soon here. I think it's on its way. That's for sure. Do you have any suggestions for who else I should have on the show next, or who else, any other people you'd like to see if you if you were on the other end of it watching this, who would you invite on here?
All right, I got a couple people. I always say Ganja Gill because I know he doesn't like doing shit like this. He's a really good hash maker, and he's a highly intelligent dude. So I think he has a lot of good things worth saying, worth hearing. I know the new cool kid on the block is Bryant, the soil doctor. Highly intelligent, very charismatic, kind of funny. He'd be a good one. I know people are digging what he's saying right now. I know I am. Yeah, well, I could text you some though, but yeah, there's a lot of good guys out there right now. But yeah, it's you know.
Definitely. I'm just finally expanding it out. You're the first grower we have on here and talking about that kind of stuff. So now it's like, let's get in more into the growers and more into the influential people that are going to really help us get through this the next 5 to 10 years. So, anytime you got any suggestions, man, definitely. I'd love to receive that text message for sure.
100%, bro. All right, man. Well, we good or how we doing?
Yeah, we're doing great, man. I think we got a lot of information out. I'm really excited about this episode. And I think people are going to feel a lot more familiar with Steve from Green Life Productions and a little insight, because like the way you do things is different, man. And it has a big, and it even reflects me on myself. I've learned a lot through this episode and how I'm going to do things in my own grow and things that I could accomplish too better and more efficient. So let's move to those efficiencies. Let's just make life easier. And that's what you're all about, man.
If you find something that you want to play devil's advocate about, hit me up, dude. Let me know, bro. I'm always learning new things, always expanding my knowledge. And I'm not stuck on anything. So if you guys could do something better, if you find something that works better that I said, let me know, man. Please keep me posted.
Well, thank you for all your input, Steve. And thank you for being who you are, man. We appreciate you.
All right. Take care, Tyler. Appreciate you, bro.
All right. You have a good one.